Here we go again. The Age of Paradox podcast episode number. Do we know now again?
10.
10.
Boom.
Epic. Boom.
Yes. We made it.
1-0. Double digits.
Yes.
Don't wreck the decor now.
The
core.
core.
Yes. A lot to talk about. Can you maybe,
A little bit tiny.
a little bit shouting today.
Like always. Right. That's better.
Like always, yeah.
I hear you less. That's better. Always good.
We got a lot to talk about again.
Do you have an inner voice talking to you?
Yeah. Or is it an inner voice or just me talking? How do you mean?
Not now, but when you're normally like, do you have an inner voice talking to you? Do you have a conversation with your inner self?
The whole time.
Yeah. Is that an answer or what? Are you asking me?
No, you're asking me, right?
Yes, answer.
The whole time. I told you. I answered it. What are you talking about?
You have
I live by myself. What do you think?
Yeah. You have a conversation with yourself all the time.
Yes.
Quietly, right? Not like talking.
No. That
Okay,
would be really weird. Maybe
Yeah.
sometimes.
You can't get it proper. So, do you know a lot of people don't have inner voice?
I don't believe it.
No, seriously.
Yes, I heard that, but I don't believe it.
I don't even believe it either. How can you?
Do you? Do you have an inner voice? Yeah. see?
Sometimes.
Okay, so it's 3 out of 3 in here.
Yeah.
It's
So,
nonsense.
but there's apparently a lot of people. I met people that don't have inner voice at all. How does that work?
It's so serene.
Like,
I'm yapping the whole time. Like everything's going on here. It's crowded.
is there really no moment when you're just serenely balanced that there's no voice talking to you?
Yeah, maybe when I listen to an audiobook or something.
But not when you're just sitting on your own.
Also sometimes when I'm really chilled out, I can also just enjoy life being good and I'm relaxed. That's definitely also when I don't think.
And is it in Dutch or English?
I think it's in Dutch mostly.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Why?
No, I'm just curious because I just read about it on my way, like this morning, and apparently a lot of people don't have inner voice, and there's a whole TikTok trend about people who don't have inner voice. They're actually talking on TikTok. They thought they're the only ones.
That the only ones who had no inner voice.
Yes,
But it's 50-50 or something like that.
I
right?
heard. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like it's quite a lot of people who don't have inner voice. I just want to know how that works.
I want to know what they do. Who are these people? what kind of jobs do they have?
How do they debate within each other? Like, should I do this? Should I not do this?
Yeah, see, it doesn't make sense. You cannot. So that means that you also have no filter or something. Like because when I do something, I think about things. I
Yeah.
talk to myself, and then. But if you don't have an inner voice, how is it you're just primary? You just react all the time.
Exactly my question.
Yeah.
So it's like, should I have this chili right now? Or not?
Exactly.
In my head, I was like,
Yeah.
it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out in the toilet. Big
Yeah.
time. What's the benefit ratio here?
Let's go with sugar. Should I take this candy now? Should I take this cake? Should I buy now? Should I buy some more on Uber Eats?
For you, it's a very simple answer. Always yes.
Yes. It's screaming yes. I'm like trying to debate it. Stop it. Stop shouting. I don't want to eat sugar the whole time.
You're still the only one I know in the world that orders cookies online.
Oh my God, but nobody has the cookies they have here in Amsterdam. It's amazing. They have everything. I did it again. I'm going back into my sugar spell. Last week was nonsense. I ate too much sugar.
Do you test your sugar levels? Do you get like health
No,
check?
I know I have diabetes. It's impossible that I don't have diabeabetes. And I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Would you not like
if
to know?
No, because I can't eat sugar anymore. What are you talking about?
There is a
Just
reason.
Act like it's not there. Keep eating sugar. What are you talking about? Because nobody needs to know this.
There is a lot of levels of diabetes, like bad diabetes.
Yeah, I know.
I think you should maybe like. Well, you'll find. I think one of the diabetes.
You find out. I will drop that some.
Yeah, I was about to say one of them is like kill you.
No, I had but I did because when I was in high school, I had really problems with staying awake. I guess in school, I just after school I went home and I had to take a nap before doing anything else, and I think it was just a shitty diet. But they took blood tests to see if I had diabetes, and back then I didn't have it. So, and after that, I'm cleared.
So that was like, what, 20, 30 years ago?
Then I started eating cake batter. Yeah, I'm fine. I don't have diabetes. I can do this. This is all good. This is fine. On the meme, this is fine. Burning, everything's burning around us.
But I think that's like your inner voice is kind of failing you at some point because it's just saying it's fine.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like like you said, my inner voice says, "Get that sugar right now." And so I'm me, the me.
Yeah.
I'm resisting that.
Is there another voice inside your head that debates that other? Like, is there two of
Is there
them?
more of them? I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I'm at liberty to disclose this answer. Who's watching this? There's at least one. Can we stick with that?
Do you remember in MIB, in Men in Black?
Yeah.
There was this like a alien that had a little alien inside that was controlling.
It was a robot, right? He was controlling
That's
a
right.
body. Yeah.
And then they opened the head, and this little
died.
guy came out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I always remember that in my inner voice.
Yeah. That's the guy inside.
That's the guy inside just pulling. Go this way. No, don't look at them. Don't look at them.
I think this is there's this whole theory about inner voices that it might what's it called again? That it might be another entity. It's not you.
Wow.
I forgot this, and we're going to talk about this. But there's I
that's
read about that it was so the voice is not really you. It's some like you're possessed or something. I don't know, but it's some other entity who debates you. And your consciousness, your real self is not that voice in your head.
Wow, that's fascinating. And
Yeah.
is that how hypnosis works? Do they then like connect? Do they connect with the inner voice of us?
Like that, yeah, with the entity, and it takes over.
Have you ever done hypnosis?
Hypnotherapy. That is hypnosis also.
You've done hypnotherapy?
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so it's the because a lot of the things we do are programs. We're all programmed by childhood, by life, and at some point, especially during your childhood. And I think it's your duty as an adult to research your programs when you get older and see, hey, which one benefit me and which don't. And most people don't. They just go through life and think that how they are, that's how they are. But you get molded by culture, by society, by everyone around you. And it's also when you're grown up. And if you had more or less dysfunctional childhood because of whatever situation you were in, you tend to get programmed in a way that's not beneficial for you on a later age. And you might develop, you develop coping mechanisms to deal with your dysfunctional childhood, and those stay intact when you get older, because it's just how our mind works. You have a program, they think it works, it sets in, and then it solidifies into your being, more or less. So you need to get rid of those programs, because I learned at some point when I learned that I had behavior which I didn't like, which stemmed from my childhood, and I knew I did it, but I could not change it just by knowing. It's like let me see if I can get no, leave it. If I can get a example of something, I don't know, but it's, for instance, with if you get a car accident, and every time you get into a car, you get this anxiety because you think that's something that you can't get out by saying to yourself, but it's not going to happen this time. You're just getting in the car, you're just driving. You need to get it out. So I was looking for ways to reprogram myself. So I ended up looking at hypnotherapy, trying to see if someone could reprogram me to hypnosis. And they tell you a story, so you have to lay down, and they tell you a story which is not even akin to you. It doesn't concern you. It's a story about someone walking at the beach. And it's some story, but somehow by doing that in the way they talk, I don't know. I think also I'm really susceptible, because I was out in a few minutes, and then
Did you notice that you were going out?
I noticed coming back.
Whoa.
So I noticed dozing off or some way.
Okay.
I'm missing pieces of time.
But it was not sleep.
It was not sleep, no.
Fascinating. How do you tell the difference that it was not sleep?
Well, you don't actually.
Oh.
But because I don't really remember the time in between. But I could hear her talk sometimes. I remember. So because I remember those moments, I thought it's not sleep. It was something.
And there's
else.
one person in your room, in the room with you, or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have eye contact with them, or just like
no? So you're laying on the couch, eyes closed,
yeah.
and then she it was a she. She starts talking. I can't even remember. So I can't remember because I don't know the whole moment, but I can remember that she explained to me. I'm going to tell you a story, and it's just a story, but somehow that connects to the things you want to work on, and reprograms you in some way. Yeah.
And then after you woke up, what did you feel?
Not necessarily different than before. I'm also not sure how much it did for me in that time.
Did you go once or
No, several times.
how many times do you have to go to get something out of it?
5 to 10 times, I think, is the...
Did you go 5 to 10 times?
Yeah.
And then
at least 5 times.
And then ended the whole thing. Did you notice anything?
No, so that's and I tried a lot, but I tried a lot of different types of therapy, and I'm not sure. I mean, I changed. We talked about it, I think, in the first episode, that at some point you feel more mature and grown.
38
for men, pretty late.
Are you comfortable talking about this? Because
very comfortable. Actually, I love this subject. If I think about what my goal in life is, it's the centerpiece. What I want to achieve is freedom. And I always was busy in, I was active in politics because I want to free people from political, economical, financial oppression of the system we live in.
Mm-hmm.
And that was mostly the focus of my, a big part of my adult life. I came across a file yesterday on my computer which says goals. I used to state my goals. It started in 2004, I started 20 years ago.
Wow.
And I found it yesterday. Do I still have it open? Yeah, I do. I started it on December 22nd, 2004 at 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I redid it in 2009, 2013, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also in 2018, but I didn't look at it for 6 years. And it's funny to see what I stated. Most of the things also happened. The most interesting was set up a medium for real journalism and to talk about relevant subjects. It was in 2016, and I started a podcast 3 years ago,
Nice.
2.5 years ago. That was crazy for me. I want to have a holding. I have a holding now, but it doesn't do as much as I wanted to do. Play Sex was on it. Started that this year as well. I had a web shop called Good by Nature, but it didn't.
Nice name.
Yeah.
Good by Nature.
I know, right?
Wait, that's a really good name.
Yeah.
Man. You still have the domain or something?
No.
That was good.
It was a natural body and skincare, and I started at a time there was no, but organic food was not a thing yet. Buying online was not a thing yet, and I had both. But if I would kept it, I would have been.
This is another thing about goal setting and stuff. It's really nice, but you have to. The one thing that trumps anything else is the persistence.
Yeah.
Keep going, and it's just
you need to update it. And I was totally swapped away about this thing because I wanted to state something about this. So that politics was freedom. The freedom thing was also a thing. I could see it here. I want to be a member of parliament in 2021. I was running, but I didn't win. And prime minister was also on there. But so that was one of the centerpieces and of creating freedom for people. But I learned, I think mostly the last 2 years, that what I told you right now, how people work, where they're programming, the biggest freedom comes if you're free from your programmings, free from your patterns. If you can independently, authentically act in any situation like you want to, and not because some program does. And for me, doing media, doing this with you, but also I want to start doing business schools for young kids again. I did that a few years ago. Teaching was also one of there. I also started teaching after I wrote this. But I want to do that, and also want to do this for adults and for kids. Teach them about economy, about money, about entrepreneurship. But freedom from your patterns, from your programmings, is by far now I notice the biggest freedom you can achieve. During Corona, I think was one of the most oppressive times I have witnessed in my life, restrictive moments in my life. But I think I was the most free in that moment. You were not allowed to travel, you're not allowed to party, you're not allowed to do everything. I did everything. I have visited more countries in that span of time, those 2 years than I did before.
Wow. Okay.
I was 2 months in Thailand. I had private beaches, empty planes. I went everywhere. I went to Italy. I went to Italy, to Thailand, to Mexico.
Wow.
I don't know. I had parties in my house, in office buildings, under highways, in forests. I did everything I could do. I had a really good time on that thing, and other people's did not, because they thought they listened to the fact that something in them told them, even though I know that it was also on TV, you can't do this and you can't do that. But still, it's your choice if you want to and probably your childhood says something about if you should do that, you should be good, you should be nice, you can't, offend people, yada yada yada. I know there's all kinds of stories you tell yourself, which make you do or don't do something. So for me, getting rid of these patterns and showcasing that to people, for them to take up the content and do the same thing. Yeah, I'm more than comfortable talking about.
So
this.
all your therapies you've done, do you think they're contributing now to you being more free from your programming?
Yeah.
So have you put that behind you, that part of your programming, your childhood traumas, due to the institutional programs that they are actually giving you to get rid of the program?
How do you mean that last
part? My question is, it's not actually a question, it's just I'm stating is that it's funny because you're saying you're going to these treatments, which are also programs.
Yeah.
And then you're getting reprogrammed. And I find that interesting because when you say that, and a lot of my friends who are way smarter than me, they said the same thing, that they want to get reprogrammed. I haven't met anyone. I've probably met someone who does the same as you, but some of them who are very much successful than we have multi-million euro jobs. They use LSD.
That's why I started doing drugs. No, it's no.
No, I'm not joking. I'm not.
It's.
I'm laughing because it's fantastic.
Because I do drugs.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I believe in them because we were not going to this direction, but it is a powerful element we need to talk about because I have a lot of family and friends looking at this. And they come to me for like advice, and I'm not a person. I usually don't give advice. I refuse to give advice.
In what sense?
Like in almost any sense. I don't think like if you request an advice from me, you have to be so specific. Like if you tell me, all right, Kayvan, what is the best shoe to run sprints in? Then I will give you my opinion, but I won't tell you like buy those.
Yeah,
like by the specific ones. That's me. Huh? That's not. I'm not saying that should be. So when people come,
not me.
Yeah.
But it should be more like that, I think, though. But go ahead. Yeah.
But that's fine because I think I've received advice from people and it was not advice that I needed because they don't understand my life situation.
Yeah, but they give it unsolicitedly.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's crap anyways.
That happens a lot. And then also, so there is my uncle, who's an amazingly smart guy. He was in military and all that. He told me at a very young age, like, if people come to you for advice, refuse, but refuse in a kind way. So say the opinion of yours and don't like point at what they should do, because people, end of the day, will come back to you if the advice will backfire. And that's kind of really bites you in the ass. So when people come to me like, oh, you live in Amsterdam, you know a lot about drugs. I live in Amsterdam, yes. I know a lot about drugs, but not in a way that you think that I know. Because like me and you discussed, like LSD is a completely different than any other paracetamol, ibuprofen, whatever you can get from a pharmacy. And what I was saying is really interesting. I'll put to you this as like, my friends who are now in very high positions, they actually listen to this. They've taken 5 doses of LSD, a powerful LSD treatment, in a very controlled environment in north of Netherlands. And 2 of them got really like reprogrammed. So their programming goal was they want to be more empathetic and more empathy towards each other and their kids. They have teenage kids, so they had like a lot of clashes with the kids, right? So I can imagine. And then the second goal was to be more understanding of people's problems. So nothing introverted. Like it was all like extrovert. And it achieved that through 5 powerful doses of LSD controlled. And then the side effect of that is really funny, is they got a huge sex drive back. Constant. Like quiet, like with their partner they've been together for years. And when they watch this, they're going to laugh. But it's funny because I was talking to them just a week ago and they were saying like, have you tried this? I've never tried this because I don't have this kind of trauma. I mean, I don't have this kind of need. I'm not in the position right now where I need this kind of thing. That I think it will come later on and I'm happy to receive it. But I think what you said is interesting. You had multiple kind of treatments. Now, are you going to try LSD in the same way as I said now? Or are you open to that? Or
yeah, so let me, because this is 2 interesting topics. Because you started out with something else, and I want to first respond to that and then respond to this, the drugs part. Because the first that you will beat programming by programming, right? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because I'm not against programming, because we we are. One of my favorite books says, how do you say it again? He said we're moist robots.
That's weird.
Yeah, in the sense of it's his moist robot theory, meaning we're robots, but we're organic robots.
Okay.
And robots, our computers are programmable. We work solely on programs. If you walk out this door, the reason that even the first time you came here, knew what to do because you're programmed that the door opens this way. It's shortcuts for your brains, so it doesn't have to spend a lot of energy every time you come somewhere new and find out what to do, but you can just use the program you have, and it will apply to the new environment which you are in. This is just human behavior. That's why generalizations, which people hate nowadays, but they're also a lot of times they're true and they work for you and you need them. Because if you would have to think independently, new in every situation, every door you meet, you have to think, how I'm going to open this door? It will take up so much energy. You need a lot of food, and that will lower your chances in survival, especially in the old days. I mean, if you know how to make fire once, do it again. You only have so many calories you can hunt, you can forage. So you need shortcuts in order to live efficiently and to just survive. It's a survival. Programming is a survival mechanism. But the thing is, most people do not investigate their programs when they're older.
Investigate the program.
Yeah, just realize the fact, what am I doing and why am I doing this? And this is the most beneficial thing I can do for me. Is the most constructive. It's all personal. I'm not saying what works for me doesn't have to work for you, but you should for yourself independently think about, hey, because usually you have something in life that doesn't work out, and usually it's interpersonal. I mean, we live in an interpersonal society. And if you want to fix that, then you need to think about which programmings are sabotaging you, because usually that's the case.
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
to see that which is
and then so you do. So one, I'm not saying programming itself is bad, but you have bad programs running inside your brain, which at some point will come and bite you. And then if you want to have a more free, I think, more authentic life, then you investigate them and you start to change them with either good therapy or, like I said, LSD. Because somehow I was drawn to reprogramming. That's why I did hypnotherapy, but I also started looking into psychedelics, so LSD and mushrooms, those two specifically. And I like there's a show on Netflix you can see. I'm not sure what the name of it is. It's only 50 minutes long, but it has a really nice analogy of what psychedelics do to your brain.
I know which one you mean.
Yeah?
I don't remember the name either. It's not fungi, is it? No, that's another one.
That's also a good show, but that's a different one. Yeah, that's also interesting. We should go into the fungi and the mycelium.
This
and what
I
it
am
does.
a huge fan of.
Yeah,
please, let's continue.
So let's do that. But the thing is, so this show states that it says picture your brain as being a mountain, a mountain with snow on it, and you see sleds going down the mountain. And at some point, when the sleds go off the mountain, you see a track being formed in the snow because the sled is going in there. When a new sled is going down the mountain, it goes into the track of the previous one, and it will carve out a deeper path. And that happens more time. At some point, when other sleds went down the mountain, deep carved tracks will have formed because of the sleds going into each other's tracks the whole time. So this is how your brain works, and this is how behavior works. If you do something once, it's okay. If it happens twice, it gets more ingrained, and so forth and so forth. So you get a lot of ingrained patterns into your brain. And they say, you know what psychedelics are? Psychedelics are like a fresh, new blanket of snow on the mountain.
Damn.
And then you can choose again how you put on new tracks. And I think that's what it is. And one of my favorite authors, and I've read a lot, one of my previous therapists said, some people should read more about how the brain functions, about psychology and about trauma. You should read little. You read enough. It's enough for you, he said to me. So I'm not sure why it is, but I'm so fascinated by psychology and the human brain and childhood and trauma. And trauma sounds really severe though, but it's not like I've been to an accident or been beaten or something like that. But I grew up with a single mother. My dad is American. They got divorced. My dad still lives in the US. But my mom was, I think she had a childhood where she had 11 brothers and sisters in a poor,
Wow.
family with not enough attention which a child should receive when you grow up. And somehow when you are emotionally neglected, and then your body as a kid, you think you might die, because if your parent is not really there, you think, okay, but then I won't be parented and I won't get food and I will die. So something in your system creates a big fear, and you start coping that in several ways. So trauma, always when people hear trauma, they think it's something really, which could be, I mean, really big and violent, but it's not always the case. When Bessel van der Kolk, he's a Dutch-born psychotherapist who went to the USA, studied at Harvard, and he is the most renowned trauma expert in the world. He wrote a book, The Body Keeps a Score.
Body keeps a score.
The score. The body keeps the score, which means that everything that happens in your life, your body remembers.
Oh, I've heard about this concept, but I didn't know it was him. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and he's last couple of years, his book is already a few years old, but last couple of years he became more renowned and people started more looking into him. Gabor Mate is another one also. Love his story. He's a Holocaust survivor, Jewish, and they talk about, because in the old therapy it was mostly talk therapy and you had to talk through your problems and relive them, but it's usually a visceral thing. It goes into your nerve system. You need to reprogram your nerve system. So Bessel van der Kolk, he says there's a lot of things I like as a prescription. He said, for instance, yoga is one of them. Internal family systems, that you talk with the voices in your head, actually talking to you, the different parts in you, and you. I did this in my last therapy. So when the fear comes up, he said, okay, go sit in that chair, and what does the fear say? And it's, I swear to God, it's so crazy, because I think one of the things which you do if you have been neglected in your childhood, your emotional development stops.
Okay.
And I think that's why, there's in a later time you feel more mature, because your development just arrested at some point in time. And what emotional development means, maturity means for me, is that you can separate yourself from your emotions.
Okay.
In the sense of that you're when you're annoyed or when you're pissed or angry, that it doesn't take you over. You can realize, okay, I am me and I feel these emotions, but I'm not these emotions, and I can take a time and handle. I don't have to be primary. So angry and act angry. That's really immature. That there's some emotion come and you immediately have a reaction because of it. If you're mature, you feel them. You really feel them. You don't suppress them. Most people don't feel them, and then you think you know how you authentically act. So you act the way you want to act, not the way your emotions want you to act. And maturity is getting this distance from yourself and those emotions. Okay. So by having him, my therapist, say, okay, now if you sit in this fear, what does the fear say? What does it want? And then go back here. Okay, when you hear that from your fear, how does it make you feel? So I had to switch chairs. I had to sit here.
You physically had
to switch there.
Interesting.
And what I noticed the week after, that I felt more separated from that emotion.
Holy shit.
And it was also weird, because at the point that fear turned out to be my younger self, my 10-year-old self, who was afraid of, I can't remember what it was about. He was afraid. I can't remember what it was, but he was afraid. And because I could understand my fear, because I was like, why the fuck do I feel this fear? Man the fuck up. Don't have this. You don't be so so pissed the whole time. But then I could understand where it was coming from and be more kind to myself.
Where was it coming from?
Well, it was coming from my younger self, who was afraid of what was it again? It was afraid of abandonment in some way, which was the theme of my childhood. So being abandoned, being shunned, being disavowed by people, by society. People were scary in some way. So there was some social anxiety coming up. He didn't want to. This comes from it. He didn't want to hurt anyone, so he would be, how you say that, rejected. Because that's what I did with my mom. She was too busy with herself emotionally, so I didn't want to upset her, set her off, being too much, so she couldn't handle having me and having her own life. So that's kind of what still happened in my adult life. And I could understand that by switching chairs, by doing that it's kind of like the internal family systems therapy, which Bessel van der Kolk was referring to. And I think it really helped, really gave me a more clear picture of how I work and why I do certain things. So he's a fan of that. He's a fan of yoga, and he's also a fan of drugs.
Hold on, we get to drugs, but how does yoga come into this?
So most of the people, that's what he talks, are talking heads.
Okay.
We overthink. We only think. We always the voices you talked about in the beginning. Those voices are rampant, and people are constantly having a debate with themselves, and instead of just being the other 50%, just sitting in there.
Like I see.
And you need to learn that you are a full human being with a body and not just the head. And I can notice the fact when one of my therapists said once, "Can you feel your butt when you're talking to me, sitting on the chair? Can you feel yourself sitting on the chair?" And I thought, no, I can. My consciousness was way up here in my head. I couldn't even feel that I was sitting. I wasn't conscious that when you walk, with the feet, that the feet touch the ground and that you walk. That's something. It's mindfulness.
Yeah,
you need mindfulness in your life to counter the fact that you're overusing your head and your headspace the whole time. And yoga, it's difficult. I'm not sure if you.
No, I told you I've done it since beginning.
Yeah.
Don't you remember my friends gave me a gift, 30-day gift basket, whatever thing, and I accidentally went to pregnant woman yoga class.
I remember now the cat cows.
Yes, the cat cows or pregnant woman, and they let me stay there. That's great. Anyway, continue.
So I'm not sure if you practice it regularly, you will notice that it's hard.
Very hard.
It's really hard. You need to stay in positions which are
so weird,
difficult. They're weird. They're difficult, and you need to do them and watch your breathing. To me, that's so hard to do.
Exactly, I agree with you. It's really hard to breathe while you've been. I don't know. You're like twisting around, and there's this one person saying, "Be calm and breathe." And
be calm. I'm dying here.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Sweating buckets, and you want me to be calm. But it is consistently. It's one of the best sports besides kickboxing I've done. I take it as a sport for me. So
it is. And it's really humbling because I remember standing on one hand like this, and then after I start to shake, and I see all these women just like. Like nothing.
It's fascinating.
Nothing. They stand.
I would love to go. You went to Sri Lanka, right?
Yeah.
I would love to go over there sometimes and do that yoga retreat thing. I have a friend of mine who is addicted to retreats. You know who you are. Because it's funny enough, you're very similar. He had a childhood trauma due to the insanely, let's say, very traumatic separation between the father and mother. And he went to court, and it was quite a mess, and not getting into it now, but apparently that trauma was so deep to him that he stopped being in contact with his father entirely, and then eventually it caused cancer in his mother, and she passed away. He's the most joyful, brilliant, just like you can, he's the most kindest person. Everyone loves him. He's my nemesis, but just for fun. But the thing is, he's now doing retreats.
He organizes them.
No, he goes to around the world. He calls me, I'm like, Kayvan, I'm actually going to retreat right now. I was like, okay. You just were last week. It's like, yeah, I'm just going again. It's just for fun. Like, what are you going to get out of it? Well, I don't know. Maybe there's naked people. Maybe there's some serenity, some massage and stuff. But end of the day, last year I saw him. He was doing a lot of stuff that you've done, like treatments and stuff. And then we did LSD together at a party, and you can see visually how his change has happened in his body. He's much more
during or after, you mean?
During and after. You can see like he's really receptive. Like he's a highly intellectual person, like academically and emotionally. So there was not really need for him to push the boundaries of those two elements. But then since he started combining with retreats and distancing himself from this city and from Europe, not Europe, but this city mainly, he's much more like elated. He's up for things. Like he doesn't. And one of the funny things you said while you were saying that, that he doesn't think over decisions that much, and it makes him much more happier.
Exactly.
So when you suggest to him something like, let's do this, and he goes, sure, and he keeps his word.
Yeah.
He's not the best communicator in the world, which is one of the things I always tell him, like, you need to be a better communicator, because if you're not communicating well, you know, you suck. And then, yeah, I need to work on this. And if you look at his WhatsApp messages, like shitloads of messages that he never answers back. But one of the elements of the retreat is be a better communicator. And it's funny that you said that, because I think it's also reprogramming the programs that were instilled in him after. Because I think he went to a wrong type of psychotherapy.
Yeah, that happens.
And that really screwed him up.
Yeah, I heard that also.
Right. This is the first time I have, so it's interesting you said that. Because I don't know how that works. And I'm sure there is, just like a wrong doctors.
Yeah.
Just like there's a wrong woman for you. There is certainly a wrong treatment for you.
My first therapist, when I told him I wanted to go and do hypnotherapy, he was adamant against it. He said it so strongly that he had to come back, because I thought, I'm a therapist, and therapists are not allowed to tell you what and what not to do. They can only reflect your behavior back to you. The decisions you take are always yours. If you have a therapist advising you, you need to leave. That's not how.
I did not know that.
Work.
Okay, I never done that, so I don't know.
But he was, so he came back. He said, "No, I wouldn't do that." But he had a very bad experience himself with it,
personal
experience. But it makes sense, because like I said, I was out. What do I know this woman put in my mind when I was out? They reprogram you. They can reprogram you with bad stuff. It doesn't have to go well per se. So that's this. I can totally get that some people, and I heard more stories about people who came out worse than they went into a therapy.
Wow, that must be horrible.
And that would can you imagine that you're already dealing with something you want to get fixed, and then someone makes it worse for you? Because then also the door which you try to open to fix it becomes, I mean, you get a new program often that won't work for me. So you're in a catch-22. Because the thing you need to get better is something you now shun because of the experience you had. Yeah, it's terrible. I had therapies which were not as good as others, but I never felt there's something that made me worse. Maybe it didn't work. It was a waste of my time. They weren't good enough. But I think I was lucky that I had a few which were really, really, really good. I had my last one this week. I had.
Okay.
I usually do it once a week. Since I met you, actually, I did it every week.
That's what they all say.
I'm not saying. That's what they say. Don't say. Not saying they're related, but but I already knew it was going to end in June. But I also felt it was a nice moment to end it. But he was really good, and it was really focused also again on the emotional, on the physical feelings, and not just talking about what happened in my life or did happen in my life. It's about what do you experience? How do you feel it? And getting hang with those emotions and understanding them, and like I said, acting on your own behalf, not because of emotions or feelings. It was amazing.
I like it that way you said, acting on your own behalf.
Yeah.
So I heard this really interesting, I don't know where, I think a podcast, it said you should be your own best friend.
Yeah, exactly, definitely.
And I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And then he went on. I have to dig out the podcast for you. It's in French, but it's really powerful. So she said you have to be your own best friends, because you might be alone most of the time. And if you don't understand that you're alone most of the time, and that you don't deal with yourself in a way that when you're alone, that you can be completely serene, that you're not bored, you're not looking for something, you're not looking for a fix, a drug, alcohol, a game, whatever, movie. They could just actually sit and read, or you can just sit and watch from the window. And then she said that's when you reach the status what a lot of Zoroastrians or Hindus or Buddhists are looking for, is that they can be alone in a mountain looking at the birds and just being in themselves. And that's your own best friend theory. And I like that a lot, because I think I'm my own best friend, because when I'm like, I can just be in front of like a river there, and then I'm happy. I'm just really happy. So I have a lot of friends people who said they get bored a lot. And I think that's really strange for me. You're getting bored? Like, how is that possible?
But in what sense?
Like they get bored. Like they're always looking for something to do. And I think that might be somehow like you as well. You have like an addictive personality. Like you get addicted to something very quickly. Would you say that's correct? Like if you don't have something, you want to plug that hole with something, and then it keeps going and going like the cookies.
I'm really addicted to sugar. That's, but to be honest, if I look at, you're gonna laugh when I say that, but even though I like to joke about drugs a lot, like I don't really feel like I want to, I need to. I probably could go without from now on. It's not per se that sugar. I definitely know that's not gonna happen. It's
really,
yeah, it's sugar. I will definitely eat something at some point in time. Again, but with drugs, I don't really have that. So
that's good.
Alcohol the same. I don't drink alcohol. I mean, I drank it since December also because I quit drinking, I don't know, 15 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I started again in December in Sri Lanka. Why is this still something I want to do? I want to test that idea that I don't want to drink. And I had I like cocktails, the flavor, but I don't really like the effect of alcohol that much. So I think... So I think there's two things. Addictive, I'm not sure, but I'm definitely someone who, I find it funny that you said that boring is a bad thing because I try to be bored more.
Really?
Yeah, because the reason is I always try to plug something with something. I always try to be busy with a new endeavor, mostly work. I've been really, like the goals I stated, I kind of knocked them.
They all work?
Out. Oh no, I'm not an MP, not a member of parliament. But
but are they all work related, by the way?
Exactly. I also saw that. There was none. That was my thing. I'm going to make a new one and I'm going to make it more social because all the social stuff was not in there. It was not in. It was all work related.
Are you aware of Ray Dalio?
Yeah.
I am a huge admirer of Ray Dalio.
It's funny. I know yours. You like the Patrick Bet Dave.
Yes, my Persian brother, Patrick Bet David.
Oh, you told me that. I forgot about that. But I've been watching him more now, and I'm also becoming a fan of him. But I knew this guy already was a fan of him. But it's funny that the people you admire, if some of them, they're really closely aligned to the way I think and feel.
That's
in life.
right.
Yeah,
because they're controversial. I admire them because they have the balls to be themselves.
Like that.
Give their own opinion and drive it through, no matter how much. They have a North Compass, and I think so. When I was in military,
that's a nice analogy.
When I was in military, there was this one guy, mixed race, Vietnamese Finnish guy, and he was just small. And Finnish guys are huge, and he was like, no matter what, he was like, I'm gonna be a staff sergeant, which is like you start at bottom and then you're corporal, then you go sergeant, then you go first sergeant, then you go staff sergeant. Staff sergeant is really, really hard to get to because you have like 12 months and it's hard. Anyway, he was just like, as soon as he came in, he's like, I'm gonna be staff sergeant, and everyone's just laughing at him like, you're small. You're not gonna have it. You're tiny. You need to carry people. It's like, I'm gonna carry people. I'm gonna be strong. I want to do. And everyone was making fun of him. Actually, he was getting bullied, and I was one of them. I was like, dude, you're not gonna. You're like 2 heads smaller than me. He's like, no, I'm gonna be staff sergeant. Yeah, I was okay. So we kept we kept seeing, and his only goal was being staff sergeant, and he worked his ass off, and he had his North Compass, and eventually he turned all those people who were bullies, including me, including everyone, even the sergeants, were like on his side. We were cheering him on, like, let's go. And then, lo and behold, 11th month, the guy became sergeant, and then 12th month before leaving army, he's like, I want to do 6 months more so I can become staff sergeant, and he became a staff sergeant. And I think Patrick Bet David, Ray Dalio, these people are like those. They have such a clear North Compass, and this is my problem. I have not had this. Like, you had the goals put down. I never, I put them down and and I don't remember them anymore.
So what happens? What happens there then? How do you do
goals?
Yeah, so you don't have a goal. I mean, because I heard you, for instance, you said podcasting was a goal.
This is like a huge monumental moment of my life. Like, I remember I've been pushing you to do this because I need a tag. So I'm a person. It's a very strange thing, Robert. I like being alone, but I don't like doing things alone. Like, It's a weird thing. If I go and if I now want to go obstacle course racing, I can go alone. I hate it. I don't want to go alone. I can go travel alone. I absolutely despise traveling alone. I hate it. I need someone to just be there, even if they don't say anything. So goal setting is same. I had this podcast, like not just specifically. I just like I want to do a podcast. I want to do this. I want to have my own plot of land in Spain, north of Spain, Galicia, where I have my own forest. I would love to have my own forest. And I've been saying this to myself for 20 years. I want to have a plot of land where I just plant trees and I want to see birds there. I want to have a large area where I just have forest.
Grow your own food.
Yeah, I just want to sit. I love sitting. So there's a thing in Finland. It's called forest bathing. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Oh, man. This is our therapy.
Forest bathing.
Yeah, so I do this once a year.
Forest bathing?
Yes.
Yeah.
So once a year, we go to Finland with very close friends. We go to cottage somewhere. It doesn't matter where in Finland. It's all the same. Forest, lakes, everywhere in Finland. It's just like that. And you rent a cottage. Usually it's a cottage quite disconnected from the civilization. There's no really running water. It's like typical in Finland. Everyone has a cottage in Finland. And they go every weekend with their family or alone. Usually they're alone. They go to the cottage with the sauna and they sit alone in the forest. So the forest bathing is that you go to these cottages and you get rid of all the digital aspects of your life. And that means watches as well. And watch is a really important part of this, Robert. So you get rid of your watch, you put everything in a cottage, and you walk as little as clothing you can wear in a forest. And you sit in the middle of a forest, complete silence.
Does that mean naked?
Well, a lot of people do it naked, but it's hard because there's a lot of ants.
That's an extra challenge.
There's a little challenge there. I don't do it naked because there's a lot of a little fleas and like stuff, and whatever. I go there. I'm quite covered up anyway. It's not meditation, but it is kind of. But I'm not closing my eyes. I'm just opening, and it's a very common thing. You look around, you hug a tree, you sleep. You're like really laying down on the ground, and you do it for hours every day. I usually like 6 hours, 7 hours. And Finland is lush with fruits and berries everywhere. Just pick blueberries and raspberries and lingonberry. Do you know lingonberries?
Never heard
These
of
are these orange super berries. So they're all the berries of together. Lingonberries is orange. It's also called Smurf berries because they're so powerful with antioxidants. You actually feel while you're eating it. It's like... let's go climb a tree or something. And they grow during a certain week of the month, summer. And you just have to, if you collect them, you have like one day to eat them. Otherwise, it's just kind of like a spoil. Yeah. So people, we collect them, we eat them, and then we squeeze them to make juices out of them. So you have plenty of food around you. You really literally don't need to go back to the cottage. So, and because you have no watch, and during the summer, the light is on for almost 20 to 22 hours a day.
Oh, in Finland, right?
In Finland. Anyway, from Helsinki upwards. Swedish also do it, but it's a really Finnish thing. And it's now catching on in Japan and Korea and stuff like that. And this forest bathing thing is now becoming kind of a part of a curriculum in school in Finland.
That's so good.
Yeah. You can do it now in winter as well. I've done it in winter. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. You sit in the middle of a forest, 20 degrees minus, looking around, everything's white, no sound, and you can hear some steps of an animal coming close to you.
So why do you do this? I get the general idea of it's what we now maybe people would call detoxing, digital detox, society detox, which is really really good because we're distracting ourselves too much. Yeah. But why did you join with? Who came up with this and why did you?
It's been since childhood.
You did this because you grew up there.
Yeah, I grew up there. I seen it. Everyone does it. It's just never been mentioned as forest bathing. If someone came up with a term, and I love it. I think it was 5 years ago. Some marketing guy came up, but it's been done for generations in Finland. They go there and they stay in a sauna for hours.
Oh, sauna is so good.
And then they go jump in a lake and they swim quietly. It's quiet swimming. You cannot disturb the lake by doing crawling. It's quiet swimming.
Nice.
And then you have your beer, you have your sausage, you have your mustard, and you have your lingonberries, blueberries, raspberries, forest berries. You have all kinds of berries.
Beer is an interesting mix in that. No, beer. You said beer, right?
Berry and beers, yeah.
Yeah, beer. That's a weird combination.
I know.
Beer, berries, and forest bathing.
So every time I go to Finland, I feel when I come back, I'm so energized. I am so energized. I'm like, I was just saying to my friend, like, it's been literally last August that we went there, and I'm already noticing that I need to go there. I'm much more nervous. I'm more anxious. I'm more like, if you tell me something wrong, I was almost had a fight with someone on the street because they came in front of me. Like I'm like, ugh, I need to go there. My friends, also Susanna was telling me, like, I think you need to go to Finland. Like, just like, fuck off. Like, go there, stay in the middle of the forest. Because I sincerely, my body is craving for it. And there was a year, COVID, I couldn't go, and I was absolutely depressed. Like, just because I couldn't go, not the COVID thing. It really hurt me personally, and my body needed it. So there's something about forest bathing I highly recommend. You don't need to be in Finland. You can be, well, here and less, but any forest you can find. And there's something about grounding yourself into the nature. And now there's obviously more studies into it. Grounding. And I was like, man, I've been doing this for like all my life. I feel the connection with the forest. And I literally hug a tree, and I try to like put my ear on it, and I sleep on it sometimes, and it's a wonderful experience. We do a lot of tree climbing in Finland. If you go to Finland, you see the schools actually encourage tree climbing, so they take their kids out. In Denmark as well, they take the kids out. It's called muddy time, and then they let the kids go from 7 years old to 18, 19, 20 years old. You have 1 hour, just go. And the forest, mud, whatever, climb a tree, stay on a tree, talk to a tree, hug a tree, check out the leaves. Like, it's just a complete connection with nature. And I think this is something that has helped me through life, like, a lot. And if I don't have it, I become really aggressive and annoying.
I find that interesting. I wanted to ask you that because that's why I asked how did you come up by doing this, because you stated that on the contrary, like I and some of your friends said, like you never felt the need for therapy, but you do want to feel if you need something like this. Where is that coming then from? The place and society you live in now, and because I always find it hard to think that there's people who came out of their life unscathed totally. For me, that's I can't imagine that happens to anyone.
I don't think I'm not. Yeah, I don't think there is a person who's complete. But I'm a person who doesn't believe in therapy. I respect it. I don't believe in it. I think same thing with physiotherapists. I think they're doing it all for hooking up with a woman.
You are crazy.
I don't think.
You ever had physical therapy?
I have had. I was an elite athlete for a long time. Never helped me.
What do you do?
Floorball. Floorball is a huge sport in Finland. It's like hockey, but you play it inside. It's 5 against 5. It's like ice hockey, but it's even faster. It's the biggest sport in Scandinavia and Switzerland. And it's a floor and ball. And there's a tournament here next weekend. I'm going to invite you to come look at it. So I played on the highest level. I played in the national team.
Insane.
I played again in front of 12,000 people.
I'm Googling right now. I'm listening and Googling.
Yeah, so I was doing that since 15. And I think physiotherapists who we were at, I always thought it was rubbish. Better you have a physio masseuse, like a masseuse who knows the points, holds the muscle and twists it very slowly so it opens up the...
That's what my physical therapist does.
Yeah, but mine is I like the massage aspect more of it. Like, rather than to move like this. I don't want to move like that.
Well, I mean, I've been showing you the mobility
That's
stuff,
different.
But most physical therapists, they should be in tune to those kinds of things. So you're stuck in your body somehow, and they either get the nuts out with the elbow or a thumb, or they tell you your piriform is stuck because you sit or your hip flexors because you sit at the desk the whole time. So you need to stretch this and this way. For me, physical therapists are, the good ones.
I'm happy that you enjoy it. So that's the thing about life. Like, it's funny when someone throws at you, like when you said to me, like, I don't believe in democracy or whatever. I don't believe in physiotherapists.
I also never heard that before.
And also like therapists in.
Why don't you believe in therapists?
It's not that I don't believe that they don't exist. I don't believe in the
process. They're not like fairies or something. But why don't you believe in that they work? That's
I've had a lot of. I see people doing it very regularly, and I don't see them having any change in their life.
Yeah, it really depends on. I think there's a lot of, for instance, here you have the regular. Now we're going back into politics again. the regulated healthcare, which is almost every healthcare, and the GGZ, like the mental health institution here in the Netherlands. There's usually the big organizations, almost corporations, have also been with people who went there and went with them, and you're a number, and I don't feel there's a personal connection. And there's the same with, I mean, the funny thing is, because I am skeptical about medicine for the same reason. I think maybe you're skeptical towards physical therapists and therapy, because I do believe a lot of them do not work. A lot of the stuff is not necessary. You also have, the funny thing is, I used to do a lot of alternative therapies, and I went once for this other thing, Bessel van der Kolk legs, which is called.
I love how quickly you say the Dutch words, as if I could understand it.
Bessel van der Kolk? No, I went to Bessel van der Kolk, the guy.
The guy, right, the writer.
One of the things he also liked is neurofeedback therapy.
That sounds awesome.
It's also, again, a way of reprogramming yourself. And you get what kind of scan is it called? Not the MRI, but the other one, the ECG scan.
Oh, I would like to do that.
You get a thing on your head with all the nodes, and they...
You done that?
Yeah.
Oh.
They measure... I did that for an intake for neurofeedback therapy. And neurofeedback therapy, so what it should do is measure your brain activity, and it shows when you're out of sync with regular brain patterns. So it shows when your programming kicks in. And then you get you either get a headset. I think you get a headset with noise, or you have to watch something. But it measures your brain activity, and when it goes out of sync, it gives you a blip or some feedback, which make your brain go back into the normal thing again. And it likes to reprogram your brain. But I went there to check if I had really weird brain activity, and I could do that. But the guy who did the intake was a psychotherapist, so of the regular kind. And then when I told him what I did in my life, he said, well, you never went to regular psychotherapy. Maybe that would benefit you. So then I started doing that. But I think because I was always skeptical about the regular medicine, the regular mental health institutions, and I still am, because I also hear the bad stories. And the funny... Maybe my mom is one of the biggest examples. She has been doing therapy all her life, and I don't think it ended up too much. But why? And it changed last year, because since I'm doing this and I want to be more authentic, I'm also starting to be more honest. And I said that I did
to yourself, or
to myself and my surroundings. And I told to my mom that I didn't like the relationship we had. There was something...
You and her?
Yes. Because my mom is someone who's really dissociated, distracted, and distracting herself with whatever's going on. So not really capable of genuine connection. And I think you can feel when you're connected to someone. And that's... And she couldn't do that. And I said I didn't want to... some people say it's really harsh. I didn't want to have a relationship with her if this was the way it was, because it hurt me. Because she wasn't really there. She wasn't really showing up. And because, and I knew that's one of the biggest fears, is that her only son, doesn't want to have contact with her anymore. But because I stated it, for me, I drew a line where I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable for a long, long time. But now I finally drew the line. She got triggered into, everyone has it, but she got triggered into, okay, if I want to change this. And she went to look for new therapy. And she said to me a few months ago, that now for the first time ever, she was truly being honest at therapy.
In therapy?
In therapy, being to her therapist.
Wow.
So before, because one of the things we, as humans, then that's the biggest program everyone, I think, gets, is you avoid pain and shame and hurt.
Yeah.
But if you do that, if you suppress those, you don't want to truly feel them, your body can distinguish bad emotions and good emotions. So if you suppress those, you suppress them all. So you become more numb and dissociated. But it's usually it's some mechanism that we try to not feel our pain and not feel shame, and just we talk around it. If you talk about why we started this podcast, one of the most common things people do is when they don't know something, they don't want to tell you. So if you discuss in debate, they say, they bring up a story. because they don't want to. It's something a little bit shameful that you don't know something, and people don't want to say, I don't know.
You're right.
This is part of the. This is a small part, a really tiny, not that interesting part. But it usually roots into something bigger, and that you avoid the bigger painful subjects. That's something I also did. And when I stopped doing that and telling my mom the truth, and then she was confronted with the truth, she wanted to work on it, and she started being more authentic and honest and addressing the things she was really shameful about. And she had some really bad experiences in her past. But because of that, I can notice she's changing a little bit because of it. I've never heard her say some things of the things she said the last couple of weeks. So my point is, I can understand that people think, or you think, and a lot of times therapy doesn't work because it only works if you are brutally honest with yourself, your therapist, and you have a good therapist who can
100%.
draw that out. So it's not the panacea, and it doesn't work for everyone. But I think if you do it as it's supposed to, you do it, then I think it definitely works.
One of the things I learned in military was holding a space for someone, like sitting in the mud concept. Do you know this?
No.
Sitting in the mud concept is so my friend who went to a lot of retreats, and other friends of mine, they're welcome to, they know they can call me, they can talk, they can tell the really deep troubles they have, and they know that I'm not going to give advice because I will sit with the mud in the mud. So the concept goes like this. You have a mate who is in trouble, and you sit with them in their trouble. So you sit with them in their trouble.
How do you do that?
You do them by asking just very few questions and listening more, and not refusing to give advice, even if they beg for it. And this is really, really hard. It requires incredible amount of strength, and you will go through hell to not give advice. And I do this a lot. Actually, I just did it this morning. A friend of mine was asking something very specific, and they're like, "No, give me advice." It's like, I will hear you. I will hear you out. I will definitely listen to you, and I will give you my perspective on my life, but I will not give you like advice because you need to go through this shit on your own. So the sitting in the mud is very common in military terms everywhere. You have your mate. If there's a shelling, if there's a bullets coming up, you sit with them. You don't abandon them. You don't fire behalf of them. You get them on their feet so they can fire or they can run away. And therefore, you share the pain.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so that's what we do.
This is amazing. And it is exactly what I think. I find it interesting that the military, they usually have the best techniques on everything. I mean, if you look at physical exercise, do what they do, you know? But this, and I never heard about this. Also, actually, like things like box breathing to calm yourself down.
Yeah.
You know, 5 in, 5 rest, 5 out, 5 rest.
Military,
it helps good, and that's something they use now also for people who are anxious and to do some box breathings. But what you state is sitting in the mud is exactly what people need, and exactly what is most of the dating relationship advice is on this topic. Just stop giving advice. And
exactly. This my call from my friend was about her dating life.
Yeah.
And she was like, what am I gonna do? I'm with this girl, and they're both lesbians. Like, I'm being with her, I don't know, 2 years. I'm not happy. What should I do? It's like, it's not my place to, like, I will hear you out, but if I give you advice, and what if my advice is wrong?
Yeah.
And you're gonna hate me.
But it's not even that. I mean, I find it interesting that you refer to that, and I'm not sure if your uncle gave you a correct.
No, I mean, maybe it's like a go on.
But the thing, what truly is the case though is that they will probably figure it out if you give them space.
Exactly. So usually the sitting in the mud concept is exactly that, Robert. You said it nicely. So it's not just that you don't give advice. It's like you need to give them the space to figure out, but you need to be there.
Yeah.
Like I told you before, I hate being alone, man. But I can travel with you or Kirill, whatever we want to go, or like Egypt. Like, you can be quiet the whole time and figure out where to go, but I need you there. So this is the exact, and that's how I live my life. Like, I am very emotionally stable person. Like, I'm quite strong, but if I don't go to Finland or to the forest once a year, I'm a freaking wreck. I think I will cry at anybody singing a song. That part is like a strange thing. But this sitting in a mud thing, I do a lot with my friends. I consistently do it. And like, friends can call me up, and I'm happy to do. I go. By the way, it has to be physically. If you can, it can be on a call. It's harder, obviously. But physically sitting there and not saying, like, not tapping on the like back there or like crying. That's really important part you should not do.
That you know,
Like if you're sitting in the mud with the person who has an issue, you can't sympathize with them.
In what sense?
So you can't say, like, if you come to me like, you're like, yeah, okay, well, my girlfriend is like, I don't know, it's a bad person. It's like, yeah, I know she's a bad person. You can't say that. That's not part of the sitting in the mud. You can say, well, you know, tell me more. What do you feel like that? How you feel like it? Okay, well, I had something like that in my past. You know, whatever.
But you can't say, like, I understand.
That's a very fine line. You have to be very
I get it.
Really, you have to be careful there, because if you say I understand, they're like, oh, I understand that she's a bad person. But if you say, okay, well,
understand how you feel.
Is that how you feel? Like, why you feel like that? You know, it's like a little bit of therapy, but you have to be very few questions.
So that's what I want to say. This ties back into what I said about therapies. Therapists not allowed to give advice. It's because of this. They should do this. This is what a good therapist should sit in the mud with you. That's what they should do.
Maybe I should be one.
Maybe
a physiotherapist.
I know when you want to be a physical therapist. Let them do some cat cows.
All morning.
Hey, do some cat cow. Let's do it. See how that works.
I need to pick up yoga, actually. It's a fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Have you tried hot yoga?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I want to try this.
I sweat instantly.
You sweat
always.
a lot, though.
Yeah.
You sweat every time you walk almost.
Yes,
like you sweat a lot.
exactly.
So I can imagine
Psycho. And that thing, it's a pool. I swear to God, it's a pool. But it's so good. Because also having that, like a sauna, you talked about sauna. Yeah. Sitting in a sauna. I have sometimes, if I sit in a sauna long enough, it's hard enough, like a really hot sauna, I get out and I'm flying. It's like I'm high.
Amazing.
Because you're so concentrating on not dying. All the thoughts leave your body. That voice dies. The little alien inside your head. It
is
MIB.
Fantastic. So they say, like, 10 to 15 minutes a week does miracles to you in a sauna.
The guy, which I can't pronounce the name, the Italian
sounding
guy, doctor
James Di Nicolatino.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you practice that? Because
yes,
you know,
I did. It is a complicated name. Yes.
I knew you practiced it. Good. I will try to do the same. But he says that the ultimate is even 4 times a week. But he does stuff based on research and prolonging your life. Everything he does is about that.
Have you ever been? I know we're going over time. Have you ever been Finland?
No, never.
This is a very interesting nation.
I always wanted to go to more warmer countries, but I do definitely at some point
I think Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, they're incredibly fascinating countries. Finland stands out a little bit more because it's a very strange amongst those 4, because the other 3 speak same language almost. Swedish is like Danish, Norwegian. They're kind of same families, but Finnish is really different. Just quick story about it. Finnish people are the most calmest, happiest, content people. They don't get aggressive unless they get a lot of vodka. Then they
or Russian at the border.
But part of that is sauna. Because they're really calm.
So good.
You can trust them. Like, they're just like, listen, all this crap, let's just go to sauna. Could talk there.
I think that's a good culture to have.
It's a lovely
really
culture.
I want to go. I'm going to check it out.
You should definitely go. Yeah. Definitely in winter, it's even better because it's cold outside and you get the sauna, get out butt naked, and it's just steam coming out of your body. You have the serenity of you, and there's people around you who you can trust. And Finnish are really trustworthy, good people, and they have good food, good water, good drinks. And you go back to sauna and then like take it easy. It's just amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think this is this is a good conclusion of this sitting in the mud episode. I like that. I think I'm going to use it as a title. We definitely should touch on this because we didn't now explore. I want to say something about the drugs, and there's a lot of things you can still discuss.
True. Yeah.
And I think it's like I said, for me, doing media and doing podcasts is about freeing people. And I think this is one of the subjects which helps to do the most. I would love to explore this some more in some way, and I really liked also your perspective on several things. I learned again a lot of new things. It wasn't much a debate this time. We were very much in agreement with most of the episode, but I guess that's also possible sometimes. All right, let's conclude this, and you know the drill. You have to like it, you have to subscribe, you have to mention, we have to beat the algorithm. And thank you for watching. Let me know what you liked, and we're going to go see you next week.
Adios.